to keep right.
Hey friends, it is Wednesday, September 15, 2021, and I think it's as good of a day as any to prepare to go there. I mean, we only have today, so we better make it count. Let's focus on our future. My name is Peter, and it is my joy to go on this extended coaching journey with so many friends and leaders as we put in the work. We do the necessary and unnoticed preparation because we want to go the distance. We want to make a difference, and we want to show up ready. And so I want to welcome you back to the Future Frontier. And we are in a really fun conversation. I don't know if it's fun for you, but it's fun for me. I think it's one of those things that we kind of overlook. That's why I say you're in the most overlooked and underrated coaching conversation, because a lot of people are, in something, but they're not really working on their life. They're not working on their mindset, their skill sets. And when you invest in yourself, you'll have more to give away to other people. And so this is really motivated by self-leadership. It's my experience and my observation that most people really don't know how to lead others into a better future. Even if they have a title, even if they have great ideas, even if they have great people skills, those things don't disqualify them or discount them. They just need to focus on this underlying linchpin, which is self-leadership. If you can't lead yourself first, then other people won't know how to go with you. You'll be talking about somewhere you've never been. You'll be telling them to do something you've never done. And so self-leadership, it's not everything, but it is the first step. Self-leadership, servant leadership, and then generational leadership. And so that's why we've got to put in the work every day, because no one else is going to work on us except us. And when we do that, we're growing in humility, we're growing in perseverance, we're developing life skills that are going to be really indelible and that will make a lasting mark on the important things and the important relationships. So here comes Prepare to Go There. It is a daily coaching conversation, particularly because I need to stay focused on this stuff all the time. It's not like you're going to hear anything super awesome or groundbreaking, but it's just fuel for your focus. And, you just put it on, you listen to a little bit, and then you get going with the rest of your day. But it is our intention to have these conversations so that way we can stay focused practically on the future, and then we can figure out how to lead ourselves day by day more tactically. If this resonates with you, I want to give you a warm welcome into our email community. It's called Future Friends. I send out an email every week with all of this content and all of the projects I'm working on in a bundle. I call it a weekly roundup. In fact, I am working on a project right here. Amazing stuff. And I've had so much fun working on this calendar stuff that I feel like it's going to come together as some sort of masterclass that I can be sharing with you. So just hang in there. I'm going to have some really fun resources for you real soon. Also, I want to kick off this conversation with a quote. And this is coming from a legendary leader, Tom Peters, talking about retooling. He says, "Only those who constantly retool themselves will stand a chance of staying employed in the years ahead." That's pretty crazy to think that someone with a lot of experience would actually need a beginner's mindset to keep going. And so I want to rephrase it like this: only those who constantly retool themselves will stand a chance at staying engaged in the years ahead. And so that's what we want to do. That's what I want to encourage you with and equip you with. Retool you for self-leadership and leveraging your time. Now, retool basically means to re-equip yourself with tools. So it means that there's a job that you have been doing, but you add in a new tool, and then it helps you do the job better or differently. And it gives you some sort of advantage, some sort of edge. And there are many processes and projects that we're taking on right now, and we're just not being as efficient. We're not being as effective as we can. And we need to be willing to rethink the way we're going to do those things. And if we're open to some new tools, we can do the same sort of thing, but much, much better, and hopefully with more ease. And so that's what I wanted to share, is a tool that you may or may not be using, and it actually can help you build your future. Now, that's pretty important for us who are all about preparation, all about prepare to go there, all about, leading ourselves and others into a better future. So if I told you there was a tool that would help you with this very thing, wouldn't you want to listen? Of course. So that's why I'm doing an ENCORE edition of our weekly planning session, because I'm convinced that these future friends need to hear this. They need to know, how are we going to retool ourselves so we can stay engaged for years ahead. And so we're going to be talking about tactics to retool your weekly planning. Now, I want you to say hi in the chat and let me know, do you have a weekly planning session right now? Do you have a weekly planning session right now? Go ahead and let me know in the chat. Yes, no, sometimes. I have a weekly planning session, 4 times a year. Okay. You got to start somewhere. And the big idea here is that your time is mission critical. Your time is mission critical. If we're not giving our time a mission, a purpose, then we will either quit our future or we will forget our future. Now, when we quit the future, that means that things get really, really difficult and we tap out. But when we forget our future, that's when things get super easy and we settle in and we kind of plateau. And then we forget our potential. We forget that higher purpose that's pulling us, that sense of calling that we get from the Lord, or that we're, carrying on with others. So your time is mission critical. And this isn't going to sound too encouraging, but once you hear this, then you can get over it and get on with the rest of your life. The default of every day is going to lead you into delay and decay. Now, I know that rhymes. I know that I'm losing points for saying it this way, because not every time rhyming is cool. But for real, the default in your day is going to run downhill towards delay and decay. If you do nothing, if you do not get engaged, if you do not use your God-given ability to be intentional, to be creative, to be productive, to be relational, to actually add value to your life, to your environment, that's where the day's going to go. You don't have to wonder, oh, if I do nothing, will it be a great day or not? All of these good things that are happening, you may not get to take credit for it, but it's not happening accidentally or automatically. No, it takes intentionality. It takes involvement. And so what we want to do is give our time a mission. Give every day a mission. give every part of the day a mission. Now, thankfully, you don't have to keep coming up with new ideas. This is not about being novel or being original with every single day. It's like, you have this 365 book and every entry has to be different. Thankfully, you can have that high level vision and you can have that, overarching narrative of your life story, your life's work that is being developed and fleshed out day by day. And so you're not reinventing the wheel, but instead you're staying focused and you're not quitting. So that's why I want to give you a mission critical tool. This mission critical tool is going to help you better lead yourself, as well as better leverage your time for the things that matter. Leverage your time for your health, for your growth, for your family and your friendships, for key partnerships in your team, in your work, in your ministry. We have to lead ourselves and leverage our time. And to do that, we need a tool. Like, I don't mind doing the work if I am properly equipped to do that work. And so that's why we have to take this tool to heart. We have to be open to it. And it may feel kind of different. We may not want it, but it's needed. And I'll tell you why it's so valuable in a second. But the best tool for you to lead yourself and leverage your time is your calendar. Now, I know that that's a no-brainer. I know that's not obvious. I know that's obvious. And I know that you don't, you want to hear something better, flashier. What's the algorithm? Tell me the cheat sheet. Give me a personal assistant that'll do all the work for me. I mean, with me. But I'm telling you, you have the goods and you can grow and you can stay sharp. And if you will use this tool effectively, it will be a game changer, because your calendar is the most important tool that you can use today and every day. And it's going to help you actually work on your life. It's going to help you stay focused on the future. I don't know of any other tool that really has this skill set. I mean, definitely not email. Email does not help me work on my life. Email does not help me stay focused on the future. Social media can inspire me, but I don't know that it's helping me work on my life or stay focused on the future. So we could go through all the other tools and all the other ideas, but let me cut to the chase. Your calendar is the most important tool that you can use today and every day to work on your life and stay focused on the future. Now, if you're not into this stuff, I get it. I mean, I really do. I can relate. Years ago, I was basically that guy who was allergic to the calendar. I personally didn't like being told what to do. That's the way I felt, that this thing has all of these reminders and arbitrary routines, and it has no, connection with me, and it doesn't know what I'm passionate about today or what I'm thinking about. And it's just going to get in my space and interrupt my awesome alone zone. And it's going to tell me all this stuff that I forgot about or that I was avoiding anyways. And then I realized that my calendar was not an overlord. It was a tool. It's a tool. And if I didn't like the calendar, it was my fault. It was my doing. By me not using it, I was losing the potential and the power that it was offering. See, without this calendar, I couldn't see where my time was really going, and I couldn't map out how I could move forward day by day. But with this tool, I could now better visualize time, and then I could better organize my thoughts. And that's when I realized that I wasn't even giving the calendar a fair shake. I wasn't using the calendar the right way. And now I'm kind of thinking most people have either been in that category or are in that situation right now. You may not be using the calendar the right way. And if you're not using a calendar at all, then you're definitely missing the point. See, the point is not just to keep a calendar. If your job and if your involvement is, I'm just keeping this calendar alive, I'm keeping this calendar going, I'm just kind of, babysitting this repository of all of these external expectations and obligations, then you're not doing it right. Most people treat their calendar like it's a closet that they store things in. And it's more like a canvas that you can begin to design things on. It's not a closet where you just kind of put stuff like, hey, that's a random thought, or that's good to know. It's like International Dog Friendship Day, and you put that on the calendar. It's like, okay, why would I need to know that? Okay, I'll put that there in the closet. The calendar. And then instead of treating it like a closet where you just put stuff in it, treat it more like a canvas where you're now designing and you're creating and you're making decisions. See, that was the big shift in my own thinking about the calendar. It wasn't something I had to use. It was something I could leverage. It's a decision-making tool. Your calendar is a decision-making tool. And for me, I wasn't taking initiative to actually commit to anything in the future. I wanted to keep my options open. I wanted to stay flexible. And I was okay with just kind of taking everything day by day. And what I realized is I was more willing to let other people fill that calendar than me. And it was my calendar. I'm talking about my time. It's not like, just my own account and somebody else is working on it. No big deal. I'm talking about the way I use my time, my hours, my days, my weeks. Oh yeah, my life. So you're basically saying you don't want to have any involvement in the way your life is going? It's so silly. It doesn't make sense. But I allowed other people to set the agenda simply because I was unwilling to lead myself. See, I don't want you to get the impression that I'm some calendar ninja. I'm not tech savvy. I'm not like all put together. I still miss due dates. I still forget stuff. But the reason I love the calendar is because it is so much more than just keeping it. And it's more about taking ownership over the time that I have. See, I believe that every day is a gift. I believe that our life has purpose and meaning and value. And I believe that we can actually redeem the time. So it's not, our days are not destructive, but they're productive. Our days are not mundane, but they're meaningful. That they're not, just prone to isolation, but we can actually be relational and we can reach out and give and serve and connect in amazing ways. But that doesn't happen if I have this hands-off, reactive approach where I'm just going to wait for something to spring on me. I want to take that step forward, and I want to use intentionality. See, the calendar forces us to make clear decisions and then to keep long-range commitments. The calendar forces us to make clear decisions and to keep our long-range commitments. And what's funny is that's kind of like 2 good things we need for self-leadership as well. Those are the same 2 skills that will make you a rock star at leading yourself. Being decisive, making decisions about yourself for yourself, and then keeping your commitments, follow through. I mean, those aren't just calendar things. Those aren't just things you do for your job. That's stuff that helps you with your life. So you can use the calendar now in 2 ways, 2 modes. These are 2 helpful benefits of using this powerful tool. Number 1, you can learn where your time is going. You can see how much time is being used here, there, and everywhere. It helps you to visualize the time that you have and that you've been using. But it also helps you to lead. Not just learning. Learning's great. It's good to get diagnostics, but we also need to be making decisions. We need to be creating plans that we can execute. And then we want those plans to work, so we strategize them to ensure their success. So the calendar tool can be used to learn and to lead our days and weeks. Now, I know you're interested in getting started. So we're going to go back to the ENCORE content from yesterday. And I really encourage you to get engaged in the chat and let me know where you want to take this conversation from here. But I would say the first thing that you need to put on your calendar is a weekly planning session. Now, I know that sounds kind of meta. You need to plan to plan. It's like, why don't you just make your plans right now? That's not the point. This is low-hanging fruit. If you want to get started and you're wondering, man, I got this blank canvas, what do I do with it? Start with a weekly planning session. And eventually you're going to figure out how rare and how valuable it is to actually carve out some time and space to get clear, to make decisions, and to update how things are going. So if you don't have an established weekly planning session, don't, stress out about the perfect day of the week, as long as it's not someday, because someday is not a day of the week. So just start with today, and then eventually you'll figure out which day of the week works long term. And basically, you're aiming for somewhere between 30 to 60 minutes. Now, me, I love being in my alone zone, so I aim for 90 minutes, and I'm so grateful that my wife is cool with it. But you want to get about an hour in your alone zone, away from the distractions, away from, all these things trying to get your attention, and you want to get focused. And what this is going to help you do is summarize where you are, organize what's going on around you, and then prioritize where you're going to give your attention next. And so we talked about some strategies that you can use. The first one is when you first get going, and you have all this stuff in your head, or you've kind of got this fog and you just don't know how to make sense of it all. And practically you want to externalize your thoughts. Everything's kind of jumbled up in your headspace, but when you can figure out a way to get it out there, this could be going on a prayer walk, talking to God. Man, what a gift that we have. But also you can journal and you can summarize what you're feeling and what you're facing. Now, it's good to, sort things and summarize things, but you also need to deal with the aftermath of the last productive week you had. And so we feel like we're crushing it, we're on it, we're doing all this amazing work, and we don't realize we're leaving a trail of productivity behind us. And so we have to deal with the success of last week, and we have to organize and declutter and put things back where they belong. This is just good old-fashioned picking up, like organization. Go through your workspace, clear out the clutter, start with the floor, and then work your way up. Get the obvious trash out of the way, and then put all the stuff that's not being used anymore, put it back in their, kind of home base. And then if something's still active, then you can renegotiate using that again. But this idea of just resetting and starting fresh is so helpful before you try to make new decisions and move forward. And so you can summarize what you're facing right then and there, and then you can organize everything that's been going on around. That's kind of like working on yourself internally, externally, so to speak. But then it's time to get into the calendar. And I wanted to give you like a few levels or a few steps that you can take for your weekly planning session. The first one is just start with what you know. Literally put everything you know on that calendar. And I try to start with the big things first. I go with the big rocks. And so those are going to be like things I know about coming up that month. It might be like birthday parties or dinner parties or big projects that my wife and I are committed to. It might be a vacation that you're looking forward to. These are generally going to have like a half day size or an all day scope. And you got to put that out there first, because number one, you don't want to overcommit and then like double book that day. But then number two, you have work to do to get ready for that. There's pre-work and rework involved. And so put the big rocks first. And then when you're looking at the next 7 days, if you don't have like a 1 month or 2, 3, 4 month view of just the big rocks, I'm not talking about details, but I'm just saying overall direction. If you don't have a view of those big rocks, it's going to be really hard to decide what you want to do with the next 7 days. And everything in our week should be moving us in a certain direction, right? We want to give that time a mission. So like, what are you working towards? What are you excited about? What are you leaning into? And then we say, well, I don't really have a lot of vision for what I could be doing this week. And it's probably because you're looking at one side of your life. You're only judging success on one narrow side of your life, probably work. I don't know what it is, but maybe you're like me. And we have this really detailed plan for what we want to do with the job, but we don't have a really detailed plan with what we want to do with our health, or what we want to do with our personal growth, or how we're going to invest deeply in our friendships and in our relationships, how we're going to, like make the vacation a lifetime experience, or hobbies, or whatever. And so you've got to zoom out and get that 360 view, because when you factor in all of those different sides of your life, you have a ton to put into the calendar. Like, you don't have any time to waste. You don't have any time to like be lazy or just sit around. There's a lot of good things to be looking forward to. And what I have found is when you just kind of put it all out there and you start with what you already know, you will be shocked how much progress you've already made in the weekly planning session. Now, after you start with the big rocks, you've done the big rocks, you've put down what you already know about. Now it's time to move into that 7-day view, and you're going day by day, hour by hour. So it's, you're going horizontally first, day by day. Well, technically, if you're looking at the grid, you're going vertically hour by hour, but then you're going horizontally day by day. And you want to get down to the time blocks. Now, time blocks are just basically the space that you make for one thing at a time. Time blocks are the spaces you make for one thing at a time. Now, I'm not saying literally one thing, like breathing. Okay, I did that. Time block, check. Next thing, hold your breath, go eat. Like, you know what I mean. There's a natural element of nuance and multitasking, and you're doing things. But I mean, when you look back at the day, you're going to summarize, what did you do? I was in a meeting, and I finished a project that was due for next Tuesday, and I answered a phone call. Like, that's it. You summarize it. Sometimes when we're planning ahead and we're looking ahead, we kind of complicate it. And then when we look back and we actually take a summary of it, you need to be planning with that kind of simplicity moving forward. Practice that. Practice summarizing, strategizing again and again, because you'll learn how to whittle it down, kind of bottom line, what you want to do, what you need to get done. And so you're getting down to the time blocks, and it's dedicated space for one thing at a time. It might be morning routine. That's one thing. Now, are there steps in your morning routine? Yes. But it's one thing. You want to master your morning. So how are you going to do that now? Boom. Now you can take those steps. And what's so amazing is when you have time blocks, they're kind of like Legos, in the sense where you're building something. You're building your day with these different activities. You're building your character with these habits and these disciplines. You're building relationships by hanging out, on the weekend and going fishing and taking that shared vacation together, right? You're building your future one time block at a time. And so for me, one of the advanced strategies that I use with time blocking is I actually start with my roles and my goals, and I say, what do I value? Like, what do I really value? I value prayer. I value personal growth. I value time with my family, my friends. I value, being a homeowner now. Okay, so then you say, if I value these things, where is it in my calendar? Like, for real, if I say I value XYZ, I should see some space that's been designated or dedicated to X, Y, or Z. And that's where we can avoid a lot of frustration and a lot of delay, because we're kind of kidding ourselves. We're kind of leading ourselves on if we think, yeah, I'll get around to that. I'll do that. But guys, it's like, it has to fit. All these things you're talking about, all these things you're dreaming about, all these things you're excited about, it's got to fit. And the way it was kind of described to me is like you're packing for a vacation. Now, you put everything in your suitcase, and that suitcase is limited. You can't put everything in the suitcase. It's only so big. So now you have to triage what is important for that trip. What is going to fit in your suitcase? You have to pick what goes in there. And you can't pack, a month's worth of stuff. Maybe you can pack 3 or 4 days worth of stuff, and then you're going to reuse it, repurpose it somehow. So you got to think that way about your time. You've got these little blocks, right? Or little bags, little suitcases, so to speak. And there's a time constraint there. And then you have to begin to visualize, all right, these are the things I say I value. Where are they going to fit? How are they going to fit? For instance, if I value personal growth, where am I making time for that personal growth? How much time would I need to, see incremental progress in that direction? And for me, you may say, well, I'm super committed. I'm all or nothing. I want to do this. So I'm going to give it 4 hours. You may not have 4 hours. 4 hours may not be realistic for this season of your life. You may not even have the systems or the disciplines to sustain that kind of pace. So why don't you just start with 30 minutes. Start with 30 minutes and practice that. You say, well, I'm going to do this every single day. I'm going to go so hard. I'm going to show up every day. I'm going to do this. Well, that's cool. But what if you can't sustain that? What if it doesn't fit into your day and your work and your life and all the unknowns? So what if you kind of pulled it back and you did the same thing, but once a week? And that is the work. That's the decision-making process that we're using to actually design a lifestyle that is sustainable. It's intentional, but it has to be sustainable. And so we're constantly figuring this out. We're constantly fine-tuning. Okay, this is important to me. I need to do this. Okay, I'm not doing it enough, or I'm doing it too much. I like this activity. I like doing this thing, but it's not the right time of day. So let me try it a little bit later in the day. Let me push it up. And every single week, you're figuring it out. You're improvising and you're improving, constantly improvising and improving the kind of lifestyle that you want. And that's why there's no pressure. This is not like some Olympic routine that you have to nail. But hopefully you're going to get in a rhythm and you're going to be doing the same thing with a level of sustainability and success. And you're like, I'm seeing myself grow. I'm seeing progress on multiple fronts of my life. And I've created some momentum because I've been working really hard in these few areas. Now I can level up. I can add on other functions, other skill sets, other things to my life, and it doesn't feel as hard. So that would be just, the ENCORE edition. Level 1 is start with the big rocks. What do you already know? Make sure you can see that well in advance. Number 1, so you don't forget about it and overcommit it. But 2, so you're actually putting in the pre-work to get ready for it. Number 2 is to identify your time blocks and to really create space and to strategize based on your time in those boxes. It doesn't mean it has to happen that way or it will automatically happen that way, but it kind of becomes your own map to lead yourself. And let me just say that many of you, you're like, man, I'm so ambitious and I've got all these ideas and I've got this perfect schedule, but it will only work if you're totally alone. And that's not cool either. So you do have to make that plan a little bit lighter and add margin and add buffer. And you have to factor in that you're going to need to rest and you may need a power nap, or you may power nap. What is that? You may need to answer a phone call when it's inconvenient. And so don't try to jam and cram this suitcase, using the metaphor again. Don't try to jam and cram the suitcase with all of this stuff. You got to be realistic. And what I have found is the reason we're so ambitious about putting everything in that suitcase at once is because we don't want to wait. We don't want to wait. We don't want to be patient. And we're not willing to say that it may actually take some time. It may take more than a week or a month to work through all of these values and to work through all of these goals. So start with the big rocks, get down to the time blocks for the next 7 days. Now, I don't do time blocks for months and months. In fact, one thing that I have done that I would recommend do not do is when you make your time blocks and you hit repeat and you're repeating the time block into the infinite future. That's not good because you're going to change and you want to improvise. You want to change. You want to level up. And so it's kind of fun for me now. I mean, I'll probably repeat things maybe a few weeks in advance, but hopefully I have these milestones where I'm actually, making bigger jumps in my progress. So get down to the time blocks, visualize it, make sure that you're actually giving an account for the things you say you value and the things you are already committed to work on. And then week by week, this would be level 3, you're organizing, you're improvising and improving those time blocks. You're saying, hey, I still want to do this. It just wasn't working at this day or this time, or it wasn't working at this rhythm. And then it's just this constant dance of finding that movement. And then the last step, level 4, is to do the pre-work. Do the pre-work. Now, in the weekly planning session, I'm not talking about doing pre-work for things that are going to be 90 days out. I'm not talking about doing pre-work for your life's work. I'm talking about pre-work for stuff that is already identified. You've already flagged it in that 7-day view. So you're just looking ahead 7 days and you're saying, what do I need to get ready for? How can I get ready? How can I set that up? And there are quite a few repeating processes. There are quite a few repeating systems that you can do in advance. You can make templates, like I've mentioned before. You can make drafts. You can be, just working your workflow. And so what I like to do is I kind of start by getting all of the clutter cleared out internally by summarizing, externally by organizing, kind of tidying up digital files or just my workspace wherever I am. And then once I kind of process that, I've already have this intuitive momentum, and I'm already in a creative kind of problem solving mode now. So now I'm dreaming again. I'm reconnecting with what's possible, what's important. And I look ahead at those big rocks. I've identified them again. I'm reworking them, right? I'm having multiple touch points week by week. So I'm looking at it again. I'm saying, okay, I'm off track. No, I'm on track. And I put my head down and I'm looking at these time blocks. And then I'm rearranging it. And because I literally do this exercise week by week by week, number one, it's not intimidating. And number two, I'm actually building some proficiency. So I'm getting more confident with this and I'm getting more competent at this. And it's not like I'm just learning the technology. It's not like I know all the shortcuts. I'm actually working at my own ability to make decisions. I'm becoming a more decisive person. I'm learning which decisions worked and which decisions didn't work. I'm figuring out, man, I was probably a little too nonchalant about that decision. Or, man, I was a little too uptight about that decision. And I'm constantly improvising and improving. And I can visualize it, organize it. And then it's like I'm already energized because I've been creating that map. So now I have this vision and I see the direction and I've actually identified steps I'm going to take. Sometimes I'll tell myself, kind of my future self, okay, when you show up at this time block, when you show up at this space, do this, 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 this. And I've kind of pre-encoded some action steps for myself, or I'll take those steps if possible. It just depends on how much time I'm investing into this. So that is all for today. I really appreciate it. I went too long yesterday, and so I both apologize for that, but I also appreciate those of you that stayed on. I'm going to pause right here. If you have any kind of follow-up, if you have any clarifying questions or any feedback, like something you really liked, go ahead and put that in the chat. And in the meantime, if you appreciated this conversation, I want to invite you to go on this coaching journey with us. Join the Future Friends, the email community. You can click the link at the bottom of this video. You'll get the free fail-proof planning guide, and then that'll get you into the Future Friends community. All in all, this has been a lot of fun. I want to help you retool your self-leadership and leverage your time. And hopefully we'll get to talk more about this in the future. Let's see here. Joshua says, love the calendar approach breakdown. Thank you so much, man. Okay. Remember, you're going places. And I really mean it. That's why I show up every single day for you. I want you to keep showing up for you too. You're going places. And if you believe that, you got to put in the work today and prepare to go there. I'll see you tomorrow, guys.